Alabama fans are gearing up for a stressful weekend with a lot of targets visiting other schools. I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't panic. Stick around. It's way offsides. 3, 2, let's go. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Happy Friday. The weekend is here. It's time to party. And with the weekends in June come official visits. Now, there's a lot going on in terms of Alabama. I know a lot of us are still waiting on those commitments that Hayes Fawcett promised us. They're coming. We talked about this last night on our live. As Clint Lim has said, just be patient. I know that's not a strong suit for Alabama fans, but I'm telling you, they're coming. If you're asking yourself, hey, how do I keep track of all this? Cotton, I need to know who's going where, when they're going to commit, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're not subbed, just go ahead and do that because we'll do the dirty work for you. All you got to do is click the reminder, and then boom, video pops up on your screen on your phone. You listen to me talk for 15 minutes. You know what's going on. So I want to start this video by apologizing because I know the thumbnail is a little misleading. It is. It is a little clickbaity. I'll be honest. But there's something really important that I want to talk to you about as Alabama fans. If you're not an Alabama fan listening, this applies to you too in terms of your 2026 recruiting class. Official visits are a really effective tool in recruiting. Very effective. For those of you who did not catch our live last night with the number one linebacker in the country, Xavier Griffin, he talked a lot about his recruiting visit to Alabama and how influential that is, what it meant. We asked him to pull two just blow me away moments from his official visit schedule so far. He picked them both at Alabama. He talked about the photo shoot and just the vibe. His mom talked about it, as well as going bowling with the teammates. Really cool stuff. But what does official visits do besides make us super nervous? Because, right now, the trajectory, we don't say RPM anymore because that's an on-3 thing, but we'll say trajectory. It means the same thing. The trajectory for a ton of Bama players, Jaira Edwards, Sadaria Morgan, Xavier Crowell, Xavier Griffin, are all pointing towards Alabama right now very strongly. Why do official visits make us nervous? Because we know that it can impact that trajectory, especially when you're talking about primary NIL schools like Auburn, Florida State, Ole Miss, Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, right? Titan Davis is in a battle. Well, he's not in a battle. Alabama and Michigan are in a battle over Titan Davis, and it makes Alabama fans nervous because we know that Michigan will try to likely play the NIL game with him. But I want to caution you. Just this weekend's going to be stressful. It's going to be stressful for a couple of reasons. We'll talk about Nolan Wilson first. Nolan Wilson, 4-star defensive lineman out of Mississippi. He is currently, his trajectory is pointing directly at Alabama. Freddie Roach is his primary recruiter. He's been going on official visits. He visited Bama the first OV weekend of the month back in May. I say back in May, man. It feels like that was 2 months ago. But since then, he's visited Auburn last weekend, came off of that visit, and now he's going to visit Ole Miss. Now, what does all this mean? What does all this mean in the big picture of things, Cotton? Is he going to go to Ole Miss? Is he going to go to Auburn? Is he going to go to Alabama? Simply put, we don't know. Simply put, most people don't know. I doubt Nolan Wilson right now actually knows. He's trying to figure that out, hence the OVs. But what's going to happen is a lot of the major recruiting agencies who depend on you to click things and read articles and watch videos are going to create storylines. They're going to take fragments of what these recruits say, and they're going to create storylines that will generate clicks. A great example this weekend, for those of you who don't know, I'll show the thumbnail again, who don't know who this is on the thumbnail. This is 5-star wide receiver Sadaria Morgan. Highly predicted to Alabama right now. A great storyline for big recruiting agencies because it looks like his recruitment is coming down between Alabama and Auburn. Alabama is the heavy favorite here. Now, that becomes an important consideration because guess where Sedarian Morgan is visiting this weekend? Auburn. He's visiting Auburn. We know that Auburn is a big NIL primary school. That makes Alabama fans nervous. DeBoer really needs to win the state of Alabama in terms of recruiting. He's on his way to do that right now. But what's going to generate clicks and make you read things and dig for information and try to really read between the lines here, right? What's going to make you do that is if there's pressure put on you, making you think that he could potentially, I don't want to say flip because he's not actually committed to Alabama yet. His commitment date's coming up, but he's favored towards Alabama. But let's just say to flip his trajectory to Auburn. Well, when that story is posted or he says something that can generate that idea, it's going to be pushed via social media. It's going to be pushed online through web articles. We saw it last week with Sedarian Morgan. He was on campus. He said some things about Florida being very highly ranked. That he liked Florida. He's liked it a lot there, and that immediately some organizations started posting those comments over and over and over again. They also were hinting through social media that Florida had commitments coming later that day. Well, if you read the comments of those hints, a lot of people are like, it's got to be Sedarian Morgan. He's going to commit. He's going to commit. Well, then the commitments come and it's like a 3-star guy and it's not who you think. Well, what they're doing is they're strategically manipulating you for clicks. That's what they're doing. Exactly what I did with the graphic at the beginning of this vehicle. Oh my gosh, video. Sorry. Exactly what I did at the beginning of this video. Did that to kind of illustrate what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of that kind of news and jargon floating around Twitter, Facebook, YouTube over the weekend as guys take official visits elsewhere. One guy that haven't really done a lot with him yet is 5-star running back Xavier Crowell. He was at Auburn last weekend. He was at Texas the week before. They did a little bit more with Texas with him in terms of kind of pushing that narrative that, ooh, Texas is in play here. But I expect that when these guys who are favored to Alabama go to FSU, there's going to be a narrative pushed. Why? Well, because Alabama opens the season against who? FSU. 2 seasons ago, Alabama made the playoff over who? FSU. Last season when Nick Saban retired, or right before last season when Nick Saban retired, whose roster did FSU, Mike Norvell and company go poach? Alabama's. So there's a story there. There's a relationship there that can be extorted and expanded upon to generate clicks and stress, because stress equals clicks. If you're freaking out wanting to be sure that, well, Sedarian Morgan's been a sure thing, for months or for weeks. Now they're saying he's going to go to Auburn. Yeah, that's going to make you start clicking. Well, what's On3 saying? What is Wiltfong saying? What is Chad Simmons saying? What is blah, blah, blah saying? What we saw that with Xavier Griffin and his Ohio State visit. We're going to probably see that this weekend when he goes to Texas. We had him on the show last night. He highlighted a lot from his Alabama visit. Obviously, his mom is really big on Bama, so we'll see where he ends up when he makes his commitment on June 29th. But a lot of these guys are going to do they're going to go on these official visits. Some kids, I mean, honestly, some colleges are paying for these visits. And why wouldn't they? I mean, they're being showcased around campus. They're getting to check out college campuses. I don't know about you guys. Anytime I'm driving through the state and there's a college campus, at least one that I know, I stop and check it out because college campuses are beautiful. They typically are gorgeous. They're fun to look at. It's a fun environment. They're nostalgic to a lot of people. And for these athletes, I mean, they're getting wined and dined all weekend. They're getting the VIP treatment. So why would you not want to go, and do that? And so it doesn't necessarily mean that the trajectory of anything's going to change. I think in a lot of these instances, I'll take Caleb Cunningham last year. When he started to sway on his Alabama commitment, it became very obvious. Like you could tell online, but the way he was posting, you could tell, because it wasn't just the recruiting agencies that had things to say about it. There were news articles, legitimate school-sponsored news articles and things that were posting information about this. And so I'm not saying that On 3, 247 rivals, these places aren't credible. They absolutely can be. But I'm also saying that they understand that a lot of us are very invested in the recruitment of these kids and want to see what's going to happen. Recruiting in itself has kind of become its own national championship. It's been like that for a long time. It's a little different now, but they know that that's something that generates bragging rights. So it's going to also elicit an emotional response from you, which will then elicit comments, interaction, engagement. Okay. So I'm just telling you, like, this weekend, don't panic. So Darian Morgan is a really, really good example, and I'm going to tell you why. If you look at his On 3 profile, right, he has been RPM'd all over the place during his recruitment. I believe it started with Mississippi State, and then it was pointing towards Auburn. Then Alabama got in the picture. Well, once Alabama got in the picture and took the lead there, it hasn't really changed. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. The prediction for him to land at Alabama is at 93%. Auburn is leading up the rear with 3%. That's not to say that could not change. It absolutely could, but in the sense that he's going to go visit Auburn this weekend, you're going to hear it from Auburn fans. You're going to hear it from On 3 fans. You're going to hear it all over the internet that, well, Auburn's making a push. Well, of course they are. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to make a push for him. It's whether he's receptive to that push or whether he's interested in what they're doing. And that's going to be, if you'll notice, those stories are only generated with the really high profile recruits, right? Why do they only talk about the really big recruits like that on OV weekends? Well, it's because that's what generates the clicks. So I'm telling you right now, don't overreact this weekend. Don't panic. Take a deep breath. If you get too upset and you're freaking out and you just need somebody to kind of bring you back in, you can find me on social media. You can find Jeff, Chris, Bill on social media. DM us. Say, hey, Cotton, man, I saw this article saying that Sedarian Morgan was going to flip, or this Auburn fan told me Sedarian Morgan was going to flip. What do you think? I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, what I think, but I will also try to put your worries to bed. So, but we'll be covering the whole thing all weekend. Alabama's got a house full, or should I say a full house, full of top talent. Brandon Arrington's going to be in town. Elijah Golden's going to be in town. So make sure you are subbed, you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell. We're still waiting on a couple of commitments, I think 3 or 4 in the coming days. We'll have those ready for you as soon as they go live. So a couple big guys on the slate that we're watching. Obviously, Jair Edwards, who had Xavier Griffin on the show last night. Sedarian Morgan and Xavier Crowell, Anthony Tank Jones down the road. And also keep in mind, a lot of these guys that a lot of these guys that are visiting this weekend, other places, are in Bama next weekend. Sutter, the tight end, is going to be in Bama next weekend. Morgan's going to be in Bama. Tank Jones is going to be at Bama. Crowell is going to be at Bama next weekend. So Bama will get the last official visit, and that's huge. Now, what about some of the guys who aren't? Well, I think in some instances, some of the guys are kind of already got it figured out where they're going to go. And then in some instances, they don't. Let's check out, like, Nolan Wilson is a great example. Bama got his visit on the weekend of May 30th. Well, Bama's in a neck and neck fight pretty much with Ole Miss. He's trajected to Alabama right now at about 33%, but he's leaning a little bit towards Ole Miss at about 24%. Well, guess who's getting that last visit, that last OV? Ole Miss is. It'll put them neck to neck with 4 total visits to Alabama. So we all know that Ole Miss is one of those primary NIL players in college football. So if that's Nolan's game, if that's what he's looking to do, then that's a consideration. That's one that, I would say, look, you maybe want to be a little concerned about and keep an eye on. But when we look at guys like, let's look at Xavier Griffin right now, where he is. Give me just a second, I'll bring it up. Xavier Griffin right now, I mean, everything's pointing at Alabama. Everything was pointing at USC at one point in time. And then he's going to be at Texas this weekend, FSU the following weekend, both big NIL players. I can tell you from his interview that Alabama's not going anywhere in his recruitment. I can promise you that. We went over Xavier Crowell, Sedaria Morgan. Let's look at Anthony Jones really quick and just discuss his trajectory, where he's going. The St. Paul's Episcopal edge. This is 5-star edge out of Alabama. Right now, he is at 31% towards Alabama, about 25% towards Auburn. So those are your players there. Well, he just took an official visit to Auburn early last month. Guess who's he'll be in Oregon this weekend, but guess who's getting his last visit? Alabama. So those are the kind of things you want to watch. And keep in mind, it's June. It's June. There's about to be a lot of commitments for Alabama probably 6 or 7 in the next 3 to 4 weeks. A lot. And we're talking some big stars here, right? That's fantastic. That's awesome, but it's June. Right? These kids still got to go play their senior year of high school ball, get to December on board with the team they're committed to verbally, and then sign their letter and show up on campus. So be flexible, be patient, be vigilant, be a subscriber of Way Offsides. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We absolutely love each and every one of you. You guys are the best. I mean, legitimately the best. Last night was amazing, and it was mostly because of you all. You made it amazing. If you haven't watched that video, go check it out. The first 20 minutes is the interview, and it's pretty fantastic. I think it went well. So say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too, and everything, including recruiting. Roll Tide.